The silence of being is not known or discovered by leaving the world behind, by withdrawing from life, by stopping all thought, by achieving a particular state of mind. No, silence is already present before thought, before language, before sound. It is the simple fact of being aware. It is not an absence. The absence of sound, or the absence of movement, or the absence of thought. It is not an absence, it is a presence. It is a living stillness. It is that which is effortlessly aware of whatever appears. It is being itself. Both silence and being point to the same. They're simply pointers. Before thought about who you are, before any sense of history or personality or identity, even before the words I am arise, there is being. In that sense, being is wordless. We are simply naming that which is unnameable by saying being. And this being is aware, its very nature is aware. And its nature is silence. Silence is the nature of being. This silence, this being, this awareness does not belong to you. It is not caused by you. It's not caused by a person. It's not caused by being a self. And therefore it is not something to possess, to take ownership of. It is simply present, prior to you, prior to all things. It's aware of itself, not as an object, but as its own nature. Silence knows itself simply by being itself. So it can't be grasped by the mind, even though the mind wants to. So many techniques are designed in some way to create silence, or to silence the mind. In that way, the mind has something to do, something to focus on, something to achieve. And this sets up a struggle. This sets up, in fact, a moving away from true silence. Any attempt by the mind to create silence is temporary. It cannot last. Because the mind wants to function through objects. Therefore it makes silence into an object, something to achieve, something to have, something to name, something to compare. There's silence and there's not silence. But we really have to recognize or realize and get a visceral sense that silence is not an object. It's the space within which all objects arise. This silence, the silence of being. It's not the silence of mind, it's the silence of being. It is present even when the mind is busy, even when the emotions are strong, and even when life is turbulent or uncertain. All of this, all experience, is held within silence. In the recognition of this, something within us can begin to relax. It is this relaxation that creates a subtle but profound shift. A shift from trying to control life, control our reality, control our mental or emotional state, to allowing life to live itself through us. And this allows a deeper recognition, which is the recognition that we are the space within which experience unfolds. Life is not outside of us, happening to us. It's not an object. Life is that which is living itself through us. This inner shift doesn't mean that life becomes passive or disengaged. It doesn't mean that thoughts stop or emotions disappear. It means that life continues exactly as it is. But we are no longer carrying life. We are no longer carrying it with tension. The tension within comes undone. We're not filtering life through effort, the effort of the separate self trying to hold everything together. It is this effort of the seeming a separate self that creates the separation, the sense of separation. When all this comes undone, and it may come undone in a moment, it may be a brief moment, and then the undoing seems to recede into the background, and maybe another moment. When this undoing reveals itself in this way, then the aliveness of being reveals itself. Being is not inert. It is alive presence. And this alive presence is not opposed to anything. It is not opposed to movement. It is not opposed to action. It is not opposed to thought or feeling. And so all apparent divisions begin to dissolve. The division between stillness and activity, the division between silence and sound, the division between life and self. All of these seeming barriers, which are really veils of perception, veils of belief, through which our experience is filtered, these all start to dissolve. So that not only does inner tension come undone, because when there's no division of perception, division of belief, and so on, division created by effort, then there's no tension. There's only permeability. There's no barrier. So when these walls of division come undone, then silence is not something that we touch on only in meditation or only in quiet moments. It is here, always, in the midst of speaking, in the midst of working, in the midst of relating. It is silence, the silence of being, that sees through your eyes, that listens through your ears, that moves through your body. Everything arises within this. Joy and sorrow, clarity, confusion, openness, contraction. In this realization, there's a great unburdening, a great relief to the self, because there's no more demand placed on us. Nothing needs to be resolved. Life doesn't have to improve. We don't have to be stronger or wiser or better. There's no waiting. You don't have to wait for this recognition. And it's not the self that needs to discover the silence of being, even though we may use that language as a convenience. To explore this, it's actually that the silence of being, or being itself, is what knows the self, because the self appears within this. Again, this is a shift in perception, a shift in understanding, a shift in experience, the direct experience. And so once again, this doesn't require an effort of the self, a kind of spiritual achievement. It doesn't require perfection. It's a revelation when attention relaxes out of efforting. It relaxes out of efforting into being. In other words, awareness that is funneled into focus relaxes back into itself. Awareness rests in itself as awareness.